Hi, welcome to this senior seminar. This is kind of a hybrid class that I've been asked to put together to fulfill a graduation requirement for students who weren't able to take new media applications or digital photojournalism. So it's an upper division class for you to go through and maybe get the elective credits that you need to go through and graduate. So that being the case, I am going to kind of loosely base this on new media applications and establish it as kind of an informal approach or an informal study or look at what's going on in the technical environment as far as applications are concerned. Many of you have had me before. You know that I've done I need to create an application that takes the arrow out of your nose while you're doing videos online. Maybe that would be something I can go through and figure out. Anyway, I've developed a number of apps. Haven't been successful with any of them, but there's some experience gleaned along the way in trying to go through and develop things. And there's a lot of content online that talks about this phenomenon, really, because I think it's kind of going away. It's kind of diminishing in a bit. But this phenomenon of marrying certain technologies together to go through and create something that makes your life a little bit better. Or for some people, that goes through and invades your life or puts your life out there in ways that you didn't want your life put out there. This is a critical approach, a critical look at what that means, what new media applications actually mean. So even though it is rather informal, there are some ideas here that I want to go through and cover with you over the course of the semester, and then to teach you, if you haven't had me for an online class, how to go through and conduct the workflow for that. Let me talk about that first, the workflow. It's pretty straightforward here. If you've taken a class on Canvas before online, you know that the home page is the default page. I'll be posting quite a bit here as I go through and research new applications and new technologies that are out there. I'll put them up here for you to take a look at. So at the beginning of each week, as you open up the page, if there's something there for you to take a look at, you might want to go through and read it or watch it if it's a video clip, whatever the case might be. Then get into the announcements. There's nothing there posted yet, but the announcements will be kind of a summary of what I need you to do for that particular week. In your research, your evaluation of different things that are going on as far as new media applications are concerned. Those announcements will be directly tied to the modules. I don't have any modules up yet because I'm keeping this pretty fluid. But for the beginning, we're going to get into understanding maybe what applications are and why they're significant enough for us to go through and actually look at. Next is the discussions tab. There's a discussion tab up there right now that is a place for you to pose questions for us as a class and for me as your instructor within this. Ask me anything. I'll be glad to put it up. If you would rather not, though, you can certainly go over and email me a question directly, and I'll be glad to go through and answer that for you. And if you have your own discussion idea that you would like to put up there, by all means, please do so. Your discussion posts are much more interesting than mine are. Mine are somewhat compulsory, and you'll be graded on some of them. They have to figure out a way to go through and put points to this and a way to assess what it is that you're doing. Well, this part that will be played out here in the syllabus. Let me show you that. The program learning outcomes are set up there. Please read through those if you haven't done so yet. I think most of you had me before, and you should have those down memorized at this point. The main objectives here that I want to explore with you are these: navigate new technologies marketplace and identify heavy hitters and developing influences. So one of those big heavy hitters, of course, is going to be Apple. Okay, they're the biggest heavy hitter we have out there. Then there's Samsung and some relatively unknown developers that are coming out with some pretty amazing stuff. And the questions we need to start asking ourselves is whether or not the stuff is worth the price. And I don't mean the financial price, but the price that we're paying to give up in terms of our own data, our own privacy. when does convenience really become outweighed by the invasion of what it is we're willing to give up? And you know what? Gosh, I've been teaching this stuff for a decade now, and I don't see consumers getting any more protective of what it is that they're surrendering in order to have the convenience of certain applications that are out there. And we'll talk about that. I developed an app that was incredibly invasive, and yet many people were willing to go through and give that up for the convenience and the companionship, which is a little weird, of what that app was able to give them. So anyway, back to the syllabus. So, and then the analyze market and user impacts from new media applications. And we'll see how that goes. Here's the item pool. 1 is application development. And I know this might be a little scary to some of you, and I don't want it to be. Really, it's quite easy. Now, before I've had students do this in a group, but because this is online and because nobody likes to work in groups, I'm going to have you do this on your own. Develop an app, not code. I don't want you to write code, but I want you to pitch a concept, and there'll be a rubric for you to follow as far as what that app might do. And you've all done this on some level. We've all gone through and said, gosh, wouldn't it be cool if there was an app for that? Well, here's your chance to go through, maybe pitch something. I've had a number of students who have pitched apps and then who were able to go through and actually see them developed and work on some levels. And some were developed only to find out that somebody else beat them to the punch. And we'll talk about those as we go through this semester. So the first item there is you're going to create an app, okay? Not through code or anything that way, but kind of one of those, wouldn't it be nice if there was an app for that, okay? Then you'll get into researching what I call best device. And you're going to quickly become somewhat of an expert on things technological. And then that expertise is going to evaporate in about 30 days when whatever it was that you were studying becomes obsolete. Okay, this market is voracious in terms of cycling through content over and over and over again. It's crazy. I don't think, what's the average life of an iPhone these days? Is it 6 months? Unless you're like me and you still have an iPhone 8 when we're 2 generations beyond that. And some of you are saying, not that there's anything wrong with that, right? Are we just tired of technology? Maybe that's a question we need to ask ourselves. Is it time for us just to get out to basic things like camping and driving a car with a stick shift and riding a bicycle that's not battery powered? Okay, back to the syllabus. This might be the hardest thing for you to do, and that is I'm going to ask you to abstain. Can you go 48 hours without social media? And I'm going to try to do this as well. And that's tough because of everything that I'm engaged in. And you're thinking, well, yeah, we all need to be connected on some level. Over Christmas break here recently, I took some time off. I took about 5 days off. I still had to communicate with kids, and not that that's a bad thing. But right now, most of our communication is done digitally, right? Those who are living away from the home and that kind of thing. But outside of that, I stayed away, and it was nice. It was really nice to go through and not be bothered by this stuff anymore. So I'm going to be asking you to do the same as much as you possibly can. I don't want you to lose your job. Don't want you to fail a class or anything. So you'll kind of need to structure this probably around spring break. That's a good idea for you to go through and do that media fast. And then I'm going to ask you to write about that. And in fact, I will go through and create a discussion post for you to go through and talk about your experiences with that. Lastly, then, is an app review. I'm going to ask you all to review an existing application that you're using, hopefully something out of the ordinary, something that we might not be aware of, that we might end up downloading on our devices to see what's going on. And we'll see what else happens over the course of the semester. This will be pretty fluid as we go. So as each week begins, and we'll consider each week beginning on Monday of every week, take a look at the announcements, see what's popped up in the module, follow that information, post or submit whatever assignment might be accompanying that, and Bob's your uncle, okay? I have no idea what that means. I just know it's kind of a British thing. All right, glad to have you on board here as for most of you go through and finish up your last class of your senior year. Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right, any questions, you know where to find me, okay? Talk to you later.